figure out what it is. But for now, getting back into it. So she sets down this small plate of cookies. She goes ahead and pours you each tea and leaves the pot there should you want any more. And she makes her way back to the kitchen as you begin to smell a lovely scrambled egg breakfast being made.
Somehow I fear I'm not gonna be able to taste anything. I'm gonna try just give it a little sip of the tea.
Okay.
I'm
Wow.
gonna indulge.
Okay. You indulge. The cookies are fantastic. The tea is perfectly sweet without needing any sugar, because I'm not sure if sugar has fully been discovered yet.
It is probably not commonly used.
Definitely not commonly used.
Very expensive. It existed, but it's very expensive probably. I think the Romans had sugar already.
Yeah, you make a good point. I'm pretty sure that they did, actually.
The sugar didn't become commonly used until the 1700s, so we're
Right.
like 600 years too early. Before it was used as a normal commodity.
Before it became everyday, yeah.
It was only used as a normal commodity in Portugal in the 1600s because we found a shit ton of it in Brazil.
Yeah.
So, as you're indulging in Serafino, as you take a sip, you notice that the tea doesn't have any taste to you. It just feels like liquid, warm
It's
liquid.
awful.
Yeah, it's not exactly pleasant. Whereas on the opposite side of the coin, everything is delicious, delicate, perfectly made. The cookies were clearly just brought out of an oven. It's fantastic. And
I don't even know why I still do this shit. Tastes like garbage. Just put the teacup down.
What do you mean garbage? This is...
Yeah, it tastes good.
I can't taste anything. Everything is like bland. I mean, this just feels like liquid, like a very bad liquid down my throat, and the food that just makes me want to puke.
Oh, that is... Maybe he can answer why it is that for you then. Because this, and she will taste hers, it tastes good, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah, it tastes good for me
Perhaps
too.
it's one of those differences, but let's not talk about this, shall we?
Yeah.
And
eventually she brings out breakfast for the three of you. It's eggs with very heavily spiced eggs, but like a good heavily spiced, with a little bit of boiled chicken. So you go ahead and, unfortunately for
A little bit
Serafino,
of boiled chicken.
yeah,
Nothing like the other guys that she served last night. We was just meat and a little bit of vegetables.
she didn't give them any vegetables. It was purely meat on their
It's
plates.
just meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're missing. You guys are missing out. Not me, because it doesn't taste anything to me. But you guys are missing out. I saw plates filled with meat last night.
I
On
was
the
thinking, as in it shouldn't do, as in what difference makes it?
I like vegetables, I don't mind.
always the pacifist.
I like vegetables.
Pacifists and liking greens, what does that have in common?
I don't know.
I'm trying to shake up a stir here. Why aren't we getting meat? Even though it tastes like shit to me, I wonder why you guys are not having any meat. You need meat.
You can always ask her if those were special people that they deserve such special treatment.
Maybe
Well,
they
seeing
have...
as you are pretty sure speaking in Sudanese or Nubian,
Nubian, yeah.
she goes, yes, those were special people last night. Are you unfamiliar with the Templars?
No, I don't know who they are.
They are the Franks, the invading Franks, as some would call them. They are the ones who've mainly come up due to the Crusade. They go under the pretense of being here to protect the traveling pilgrims, but in truth, at least to my eyes, it seems that the Templars of the White and Red seem to be starved for greed, while those with the black habits is the gentleman who went upstairs the other night. I don't know if you saw him. He is of... This is a very difficult word for me to say. Hospitaler.
There's some spittle in there.
They are more dedicated to their outward sayings. They say that they will protect the pilgrims. They do. They say that they will care for the sick. They do. Both are militaristic, as many of the Christians are, the Franks. No offense. But at least the hospitalers... The other ones.
Yes.
Keep to their word. Even going as far as to provide their services to non-Christians.
So quite a fairly big difference between Templars.
Quite.
Look over the table at Cecilia. Well, if there's anyone we're going to trust, then it's probably him.
Can you just pronounce that name again for the black habit ones?
It's hospitalers.
Oh, okay.
Hospitaler.
Charles is just shaking his head as in he knows he's doing that on purpose. Well,
If I can't taste the food, I might as well have some fun.
So, you go ahead, you eat. Once again, the eating and the drinking, it doesn't do anything for you. It's more of a emotional fullness. Emotionally, you feel as though you're filling your bellies with something that's going to be productive during your day. But in truth,
not really.
nothing changes. Speaking of which, go ahead and mark off 1 point of blood.
Dun dun dun.
That's never good.
Well, the price of
That's
living.
waking up. Yeah.
Living.
Well, since we've got our days ahead of us, I'm not sure how you want to fill it.
I have a feeling that the days to come will be a lot more hectical, so I think I will try to take it easy today. Just rest and reflect. Maybe even meditate.
Got two things on my mind right now. First off, I start learning perhaps Latin.
Oh, yeah, we can start I can start teaching you that. Do you want to learn Latin first or Arabic?
I'm guessing. Well, we're going to be mainly in Christian circles, probably first, if we're going to follow a knight of a Christian order. I think Latin might be the more obvious choice.
He spoke French. Do you want to learn French instead? They're similar, but yeah. It depends what you want to do. If you want to speak to people or read the Bible, she says and smiles.
Is Latin commonly used by Christians in this region right now? I'm sort of... they probably don't know either, but...
You guys don't know.
No.
It's gonna be a weird question to ask someone. We can ask him tonight, perhaps.
Well, I can start teaching you the basics in the grammars, in some of the words that are similar to both languages. So we can start there.
Good.
Okay.
Start with that, and if I have any time left, I'll also...
So,
if we've truly been underground for 30 years, I'm gonna need the exercise.
what I would like you to do is I would like, first off, Cecilia, to... How long would you like your initial lesson to be?
How many hours can you stand, Java?
Ooh, that's gonna be a is that willpower? I don't know.
Sure, we can do a willpower roll.
Because considering he's okay, he's not completely daft, but he's not learned, as in he's not familiar with any level of academics. He's not able to write or read, so this is not going to be easy, I'm thinking, to teach him a language.
It's gonna be super hard because you understand what I say even when I use wrong words.
He's a brute with a hatchet.
Well, it's not entirely. He's smarter and more witty than he's actually charismatic or capable at lying. That's his worst traits.
He's street smart, not book smart.
Same level, sort of. So, just like me.
Actually, there's one thing she will do first. She will take out. Do I have paper and pen or something like that?
You don't have parchment and a piece of graphite, but you could acquire them.
Yeah, I would ask for maybe a board and chalk or something, so you can type and.
Absolutely. She will go ahead and.
From you.
She goes ahead and gets you a small slab of stone, and she goes out and she fetches some chalk.
Alright, then she's going to look at Adjala, and then I said, I want you to tell me, back to me, what this word means, if you understand it. And she will write just something that is pronounceable, but just 5 random letters. And then she does an equal sign, and then she types cheese. And then she says the random 5 letters towards Ayala, while thinking that it's cheese she's saying on a language she just created.
What comes to you, Ajala, is 5 random letters.
Do I witness this?
It depends if you're hanging around.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I am for the lesson, sorry. Boring.
Well, this is probably going to take him some willpower to sit through, because this is going to be frustrating for him, I think.
Sure, go ahead and roll me your permanent willpower.
I guess you tell her that you just heard 5 random letters, and she will be like, "Oh."
Yeah, this is gonna be harder than both of us were thinking. The
This is gonna be
dice
interesting.
permanent willpower. Let's have a look. See.
Oh!
Wow. Okay.
He's actually gonna push through, but you'll notice that it's painful, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So how many hours will that be?
We will say that should you choose, he's willing to push through about a good 4 hours.
All right.
But once he gets to the 4.5 mark, oh god.
What do you want me to roll?
So what I'll have you roll, as you are going over now, you're going to focus on words that fall under Latin and French. Is that what you said?
I would start with that, but if I don't find, I will fill it in mostly with French. So I will actually start moving into learning French.
Okay.
But I will try to keep it
I
close.
won't realize anyway, so.
So
Yeah.
we're going to have you roll, this is going to be wits academics. Not wits, actually intelligence. We'll go with intelligence in
Yeah.
this one.
I was even going to say, isn't there a chance I can roll charisma as I'm trying to make him actually interested in listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd allow that. Charisma academics.
All right. I like that.
Bargaining with the storyteller, lovely.
You're making it sort of more of a learning show, something to be interested in, something to have fun with.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning is fun, kids.
Let's see if it's how fun it is. Oh my god. I have 3 ones.
Wow!
Okay, so I am pushing through it, but it's not really. It's really taking the willpower that I had.
It is not very fun.
So, what ends up happening is, over these hours, as she is teaching, Cecilia actually gets a little bit more wrapped up in trying to make this entertaining for you than she focuses
Making
more
it
on that than actually
educational.
educational. So I won't have you make a roll to retain what knowledge Cecilia has dropped on you just yet. But you are beginning down the path. You have gained 5 XP on the 100 XP to French.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a separate thing for that. 5 out of 100.
That was a joke. It's just an extended test on both of your parts. That's all it is.
All right.
It's not actually 5 out of 100. Don't worry about that.
I actually have a 10
It
in
would be
there.
a lot actually, 5 out of 100 for 4 hours.
Yeah, I actually have a 10 in there, and I have captivating voice as the speciality. So maybe there will be 1 success of it.
You have captivating voice? Okay.
Yeah, that is my speciality in charisma.
Ooh. Okay, so that will actually count as a 1 success in that case.
Yeah.
This is why we keep up with our specialities. Okay.
There we go.
So in that case, I need you to... Ajala will roll me... this is going to be... your choice of perception academics or wits investigation at a higher difficulty.
It's gonna be perception academics, if I can find the academics. There it is.
Okay, difficulty 6.
Oh, sorry, perception academics, was it right?
Perception academics or wits investigation at a higher difficulty.
Learning French, difficulty of 6.
Difficulty is going to be 6. You're looking
Well,
to have 1 success.
It's daylight, so does that matter, or?
This is a mental thing, so no.
Okay, so I think this is the role for learning French.
Ooh.
You adequately learn the 1 success worth of knowledge that Cecilia is able to impart on you. So, seeing as this is considered a extended role on both of your parts, how this is going to work is you are looking to get me 15 successes in total over a expanded time period in order for him to learn the basics of French. So, whenever Cecilia rolls a success, you will have to also roll to then see how many of those successes you can take and put into the extended tests pool. So right now you are also sitting at 1. Despite the fact that you have 2 extra successes, you don't learn anything extra because your
you can't
teacher
convey it.
right could not convey it.
All right.
Alright, cool. Next time, I hopefully won't roll as many ones.
Yeah. And keep in mind that if Cecilia rolls a 5 and then you roll a 2, you only get to keep 2 of Cecilia's 5 successes. That's how that works.
Right.
Alright.
No, I'm clear on that. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering by the time that we're done here how much time we have left for the night, but
Well, it was morning going into midday, when you headed downstairs. 4 hours time, you're simply into the actual afternoon.
perhaps Serafina might want to do something in those 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm wondering that as well. What would Serafino like to do while the lessons of French are going on?
Gonna murder a priest!
Possibly. I'm gonna try and get into that library again.
Okay. So you make your way back to the chapel. And as you do, you notice things are a bit different now. The doors themselves are open. And as you were walking here, you heard the afternoon's bell for prayers. Inside, you find 12 individuals, including the priest.
Oh.
Other than the priest who wears his brown habit, the other individuals all wear the white with red cross.
Oh, the Templars. I
Their
believe.
weapons are placed at the doorway.
I shall go to the priest and address him.
He is in the middle of a
Say-
sermon.
Oh.
Please just walk up to him and be like, "Hey, I need something." He's like, "I am busy."
Okay, then maybe I'll sneak into that library then.
Okay. In that case, go ahead and make me. This is going to be. This is going to be Wits Legerdemain. Or Wit Stealth, sorry.
What's stealth?
Wit Stealth to get to the door that
Difficulty
leads
6?
downstairs. Difficulty is going to be 7.
7.
It's daylight. This is a physical activity. Whew.
Oh.
We're seeing that a lot. Do you have a speciality in either wits or stealth?
Let me see. No, in stealth and wit. Let's see.
Wits is up at the top right.
Oh, I was seeing in the wrong place. Sorry, I was seeing on my own sheet. I have 3, so no.
Okay. So, you try and sneak your way over to the door that leads down to the cellar. But unfortunately, you were caught. The reason you were caught is because you happened to come into the chapel during communion. So just as the priest is lowering the silver chalice, which supposedly holds the blood of God within, he turns and catches you out of the corner of his eye, heading directly for the cellar door.
God dang it.
And he kind of just looks at you and gives you a nod and then motions for you to join in with the Templars.
Alright, I'll join in with the Templars.
Okay. So, the question becomes, will Serafino partake in communion?
Knowing very well it will make him puke. Possibly. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
One by one, you watch as the Templars go before you, eat a small portion of bread, and then sip from the cup. Until
So glad
eventually,
he's not a barley.
you stand before the priest. He hands you the small piece of bread. You slip it onto your tongue and you taste nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of queasiness that comes with swallowing it, but you think you're okay. You then take the cup, and as you press the cup to your lips and go to take a sip, you feel a horrible burning sensation as your hands and your mouth begin to produce smoke. And I would like you to make me a soak roll without the benefit of armor.
How is that?
So,
Magic to silver? Or is
Maybe.
it blessed?
maybe.
How do I do that soak roll?
So for soak, let's go ahead and let me scroll on my nifty little cheat sheet here for DMs. It'd be, let me move you guys' cameras out of the way so I can actually see the sheet, because that would be nice. Let's see here. Soak. That's final death. We're not looking for that just yet here. Here
That's
we
a
go.
bit dramatic.
So, alright, so the roll is going to be stamina plus fortitude if you have fortitude as a discipline. If you do not have fortitude as a discipline, then it is only your stamina.
I don't believe I have fortitude.
So it is a straight stamina roll.
Difficulty?
Difficulty for this is 6.
Thank God. Oh,
Alright. As you take a sip from the cup and your hands and mouth begin to smoke, the horrible burning sensation increases until eventually you are forced to drop the cup onto the ground. It clatters against the stonework of the floor, the wine spilling everywhere, and you take 2 points of aggravated damage.
Alright, let me put that in. Where was that? Here.
So on your character sheet, when you
So I
go
got
to
bruised,
mark
hurt.
damage, well, when you get to bruised, instead
Mhm.
of marking it with the slash or the X, you mark it with a hashtag. And you do that for both bruised and hurt.
Okay, done.
All right. As the cup clatters to the ground and the wine spills out, there is a general gasp within the crowd of Templars as they all stand and look at you. The priest, however, simply looks within your eyes, and I need him to make a roll.
I should be taking French lessons. What is this bullshit?
That's one thought going through Serafina's mind right now. I should have stayed for the French lessons.
I should have
Yeah.
stayed for the French lessons. It's hilarious. There it is. All right, great, fantastic. So he...
I'm way too curious what that man's gonna roll.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. Yep. Gotcha. This is going to be a tough one for him. All right. Manipulation.
He's another one of us that's gonna be so weird.
Did it roll? Yeah, it did. Wow! 2 dice, 2 successes. Okay. Versus, we'll just do 1 roll for the whole group. So I need to go to, here we go. And then you. Character sheet, primary dice. They need to roll. Intelligence, occult. 26. They're looking to beat a 2. Okay. So you watch. The priest's eyes were closed, his hands raised slightly as you went to go sip from the cup. He was doing the prayer as you were beginning to take your sip, when suddenly he smelt the smell of your burning flesh. He heard the sound of the cup clattering to the ground and the wine spilling out. His eyes suddenly open as the Templars stand from kneeling in shock, many of them looking as though they are ready to run out the door, grab weapons, and strike you down where you stand, you unholy demon of darkness. But the priest stops them as he puts his hands on your shoulder, looks into your eyes, and says, "You are blessed, my child.
Thank you.
For you have many sins that you must atone for. And God has seen fit that I am the one who shall help you atone for them. Today you came into my church, not to seek forbidden knowledge, but simply to seek redemption." His eyes narrow as they stare in yours, and a small, slight grin creeps over his face. He then goes blank in expression once more before releasing you and saying, "That will be all for today. We will continue our sermon at another time. Perhaps this evening in the Citadel, if Master Patrice would be willing." He says this to the Templars to your left and right. There are nervous nods. And you watch as slowly they back out, their eyes on you. And each of them carefully watches as they grab their weapons. And you notice as a number of expressions are passed between them and the priest as to whether or not he is okay with them just leaving. But luckily, through his expressions, he's able to convey that no, he wants them to leave, and you are with him.
Well, that's a relief. Thank you.
Do not thank me yet. And he waits for a few moments, for eventually you hear the sound of the chain-mailed boots of the Templars walking off into the distance. So, perhaps, child, you would like to tell me how you have sinned. Or
Sorry?
perhaps you'd like to walk out of that door.
I was just curious to see your library. You know, I believe that I used to be a scribe, although my memory fades me sometimes. And I used to study with monks, and I'm very interested in literature. And since yours is the only library in this city, I would find it really hard to leave without having a look at what treasures you have in there.
I'm sure. And from what I've just seen, I'm also sure that the literature of God's Word does not particularly please you at this moment.
I read a bit of everything.
He watches,
There's
he begins to
knowledge
pace the
everywhere.
room. Sorry.
There's knowledge everywhere. I've read a bit of God, and I've read a bit of other things. Do I know my specialty in angelology?
That memory hasn't fully come back to you yet.
Okay.
You're getting there. I knew from the moment the two of you walked in through that door and you spoke to each other without truly speaking to each other in the common tongue that something was special about you and your friend. For you speak as though the Tower of Babel still yet exists. And yet, I do not understand your friend.
He is a bit all over the place at the moment. We had some terrible things happen to us in the last couple of days. We're still recovering from them. But I am a bit more calm than him and like to think about things before actioning or feeling stressed.
Good. Very good. It's always wise to think before acting.
Like
As he
sneaking into a church.
As he paces around the room, he's kind of just going, not in a full circle, but in like a semicircle. He goes from the left side of the door up to the altar, around past you, always looking you in the eye as he passes you, before making his way on the opposite side to the right side of the front door. And then just slowly he's making his way back and forth, just doing that over and over again. His eyes trained on you the entire time.
So do you see me worthy of having a look at your books, or should I turn back and go back where I came from?
That will depend. Do you see yourself worthy of redemption within the eyes of the Lord?
I don't see why not. He is forgiving after all, isn't he?
Very true. I will allow you to access my library on a condition.
Which is?
I would like to attempt to baptize you.
And how would you proceed with this?
As a
Baptism?
normal baptism would go. But
I don't know.
I should
think
warn
I've
you.
been-
perhaps the same will happen with the baptism as with the cup. If, by the time I baptize you, you have not found some way to not only ask for forgiveness, but also forgive yourself. I am very interested, either way, how this would turn out.
I believe I've been baptized before. You know, I am from Iberia. Being Christian is how I grew up.
Perhaps.
Why would I be baptized again if I was as a child?
Well, it's clear things have changed since you were a child. As a child, did communion burn you as it has now? You can see as your fingertips look like they have slung off and melted. Your lips feel uncomfortable and rubbery.
And all this just because of a silver cup.
Oh, this cup isn't silver. And he picks it up. You see, it taps on it. This is actually just bronze, painted over with silver.
Bronze painted with silver.
No, our much more valuable things lie in the citadel above.
Is there anywhere with holy water in the church?
Do you ask that out loud, or are you just looking?
No, I'm just looking.
When you come through the main doors, there's a small fountain of water that usually signifies as possibly being holy water. Because usually you come into the church, you dab your finger.
Yeah. Give me a minute to think, and I move back to the entrance of the church and try and see when the priest is not looking if I can dip my finger in the holy water.
Okay.
I don't think he'll stop looking.
That is the problem, truly. His gaze never leaves you. So if you truly want to try and hide the fact that you're going to test the holy water, I would like you to give me, and remember this is completely your choice, whether or not you want to make this roll or not. This will be, we'll go with dexterity and stealth.
Hey, look, it's Jesus Christ.
I love how chat is just like, oh crap, the jig is up, run!
Difficulty?
Difficulty for this is going to be 7. 2 successes.
Also, the expression testing the holy water, as in...
So it's hard to find an opening, but eventually you take up the habit of pacing yourself. As you watch as when he finishes making his way to the altar, he stops and he just stands before it and looks at you, blinking ever so often. And you, in turn, begin to pace. And as you begin to pace, you walk by the small fountain and quickly, using your cloak to the best of your abilities, dab your fingers into the holy water. Go ahead and make me a soak roll.
Oh, this is going great.
Will be.
The soak roll is just going to be your stamina at difficulty 6.
Doesn't matter how many successes on stealth, he's still gonna burn.
You take another point of aggravated damage as your fingers dip into... Which fingers did you dip in, by the way?
Oh, the pinky and the one right next to it.
Okay, so your pinky and your ring finger dip into the holy water. Already partially burned from when you held the cup and attempted to take communion. You watch as where your fingernails once were, the meat slaws off the bone, and the bone turns to ash and falls within the receptacle for the holy water. Make me an intelligence occult roll.
Difficulty.
Perhaps it might become problematic.
Difficulty is going to be 6 for this.
Oh wait, I chose the wrong one. Sorry, I picked perception instead of intelligence.
Fine. Just go ahead and roll again.
Reroll it.
Okay. 4 successes. It's taken you this long to realize it. It's not what you're touching that is injuring you, per se. It's the fact that he believes, truly, that is injuring you. He has blessed this water. After all, he's the priest. He blessed the communion. After all, he's the priest. But to be in this chapel should cause you uncomfort if you are allergic to holy items. After all, you have a painting of Jesus himself displayed on the cross that sits behind the altar. The altar itself should hold significance. These grounds should be considered consecrated. But standing here does not cause you discomfort. Things that he controls. The blessing of the water each day. The communion at each sermon. They cause you discomfort. In mechanical terms, out of character, this man has true faith and you're fucking with him.
I'm just gonna leave and say, no thanks. Goodbye.
Have a blessed day,
Oh dear.
child. And hopefully one day, as you're walking out of the door, you will find yourself able to accept God in your heart once more.
He's shouting that after him into the streets.
As you begin to walk away from the chapel, where do you go?
Well, I guess I'm gonna go back and just have a look around the place where we're staying. What other shops are there? Or
Okay. You begin to head back towards the inn and to peruse around it when it becomes increasingly more noticeable that still your lips feel as though they are burning, but there is no smoke that rises from them. There is just a ever-present unpleasantness. And where your two fingers were, well, where the two tips of your fingers were, all the way to the knuckle on your ring finger, and simply up to the end of the fingernail on your pinky finger.
can I use my blood pool to heal?
Well, that comes into healing aggravated damage. Let's find out how you heal aggravated damage. Because this is going to be fun to discover in this system. Let's see here. Healing aggravated damage. I actually didn't think we were going to get to aggravated damage this early.
Me neither. First the hatchet, now holy water, and then the communion cup.
Yeah. If Azzy is at all
Everything,
familiar with aggravated and 20th, that would be fantastic.
I know the rules normally, but I don't actually know if they have a variant here. In normal cases, it is 5 blood point and a willpower. But I don't know if there's anything special in this particular version. But it's a heavy price to heal aggravated, as it is not only destroying your flesh, it is attacking your soul.
Unfortunately, I don't have the rules for healing aggravated damage in my DM notes here, which means I'm going to have to crack open the book and look through that. So for now, we will go with the normal V20 rules until I'm able to find it in the book itself. So, in order to heal a single point of aggravated damage, you will... What generation are you?
Let me check. Oh, we talked about this. Is it on my sheet? Let's see. Primary. 12.
12th, okay. So you can spend 1 blood a turn. So you will need to spend 5 turns. Does he have to spend a willpower each turn? Or
No,
just
only
one period?
once.
Okay,
I think it will be the final blood.
gotcha. So you need to spend 5 turns, spending 5 of your blood. And also you will need to spend a willpower to go ahead and heal a single point of aggravated.
Okay, so it's 5 turns for 1 of the aggravated out of the 3 that I got, and 1 blood per turn.
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna take out 1 of the blood. That leaves 4 for 1.
So what's your max blood pool normally?
11.
Okay. So you were at 10 due to waking up.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd go down all the way to 5 in order to heal an aggravated.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got these marked incorrectly. That one instead. There you go. Just doing some sheet cleanup there. There we go. All right. So, as you begin to try and heal the aggravated damage, you can feel the blood surging through your veins as ever so slowly you watch as your muscles and bone and a little bit of your flesh slowly begin to try and regrow on your fingers. You get up to the point where the bone and muscles reform on your fingers, and some of the skin, patches of it, reform on your fingers, but not all of it. Your fingertips still feel and look a little bit like they've been sawed off, and your lips still have an intense burn within them. And dear God, the hunger. As each person passes you by, you can think of nothing more than feeding on one of them. As the smell of each person, their unique aromas, their musks, their perfumes, whatever they may be, waft within your nostrils and leave you salivating as you begin to walk back.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to go and close myself in the inn.
Okay.
In the bedroom.
Eventually you make your way back to the inn. The hunger still tearing at you, but not enough to cause you to frenzy just yet. As the two of you watch Serafino step in, and you notice something is off about him. He doesn't move correctly. He moves as though someone who is in severe pain.
Is everything alright?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm just gonna go and rest to the bedroom.
Oh, alright.
You can go ahead and recover the point of willpower that you spent, because according to one of our lovely viewers, they say Dark Ages 20th says full day's rest and 5 blood points per aggravated point of damage.
And no willpower.
So I shall rest then.
All right. Is there any...
Did I notice that there was something wrong with his fingers and his face, perhaps?
Make me a perception, and this is going to be... Here's the question. Is Serafino going to try and kind of rush past them and get upstairs to his room? Or is he willing to let them, like, look him over?
Basically, are you hiding it?
Interesting.
Considering the people around?
Rush past them.
Okay. So you watch as Serafino rushes past you. before you're really able to get anything out towards him. Make me a perception medicine check. Difficulty 7. Sorry, difficulty 6. This is a mental. And this is only for Ajala and Cecilia.
I don't see nothing.
I'm
It's
looking
actually a
at
bo-
where medicine is.
I think we may have a botch.
Watch.
These are weird botches. How do you botch that?
That is an
Go-
interesting
Perfectly
question.
fine.
Yeah.
Chalk in your eye or something? from the
Here's
scribbling
how
tab?
Cecilia botches it. Cecilia, you don't notice Serafino step in and rush past you. You're so focused on keeping up your performance and keeping up what words you can give to Ajala that your back was turned at the moment. So you don't see him go by you. You do feel a light breeze as he moves by. And Ajala, you get a very, very brief glimpse of something wrong with Serafino's fingers. You can't really make out anything wrong with his face because it's usually for Serafino, heavily covered and hooded.
Huh. While he's going up the stairs, I'll call after him and ask the same question that Cecilia did, so that he could still have replied with the same answer. I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
Does
Something's wrong.
Serafino answer?
Did he come after me to the room?
Not yet at this point.
Oh no, yeah, it's just passing by. So yeah, I don't really want to discuss that at the moment. Let me just go to the room and rest for a bit.
I'll ask Cecilia if she saw that.
So what?
Serafina, who just ran upstairs trying
Oh.
to hide his hand.
Oh, was it
Something's
him?
wrong
No,
with his hand.
I didn't. Was something wrong with his hand? I didn't. She like looks over like.
That is
No.
totally what
So-
Cecilia does when she says no. She plays with her hair and moves it back. Yes.
I'm not entirely sure what was wrong with it, but it didn't look right. Shall we ask him now, or shall we give him some time?
We should probably focus on your learning French first. I think.
Well, we've
Oh,
been a
well,
few
did he look
hours
injured?
now, as in, sorry?
Did he look injured? Was he bleeding?
Yes, he looked injured. Well, not bleeding. Don't think we do that. Yes, he
Oh.
looked injured.
Shh.
Should I call a doctor?
Oh,
Remember,
calls his woman is for
there's an old
way too
woman.
close.
Yeah.
She can only understand your side of the conversation at the moment.
Yeah. And she will say in Arabic, so she hears what Cecilia's saying as well. Yeah, go up and check on him and see if he's okay, and we will know if you need to call a healer. And she smiles towards the old lady and thank you for your concern. We will see if you need one.
The whole I don't think we do that anymore was a bit lower than the rest. Just saying.
Oh no, I'm not gonna hold that against you.
'Cause I think so far I've been the only one that's been really paying attention not to do that where other people are sitting around. So, me, just saying. Yeah, we'll go upstairs, have a look-see, and knock on the door.
Okay. So, you go ahead and head upstairs. Does Serafino answer as he hears the knock on his door?
Oh yeah, I say, let me rest, please.
Try your hand, what happened? Did you get in trouble in the city?
No trouble, just need to rest.
Go ahead and make me a manipulation subterfuge as you say no trouble. And I would like Ajala to go ahead and make a. There's no insight, so.
Is Cecilia with me? I'm guessing.
No, she was staying downstairs, like
What's
keeping up the
difficult
charade.
Manipulation subterfuge.
Yeah, manipulation subterfuge for you. We're gonna go with. What will we go with for the counter? I think perhaps we'll go with wits and
Empathy?
expression or empathy. Your choice.
I
Difficulty
think
6 for both of
empathy
you.
It's probably the same either way for me. It's going to be a pure wits roll.
I apologize for the barking dog.
1 success.
One
We were
success.
discussing my difficulty?
Yeah, you're also difficulty 6.
Okay.
Do you have a speciality in manipulation or subterfuge?
No.
Okay. So in that case, you both tie, and I will need you both to roll again. Yeah. Okay, another 1 success from Serafino. Ah, there it is. Okay. So Ajala with the botch. He's tired. He may have, like, lightly injured himself, but only lightly. You're sure? At this point?
I'll go downstairs again and I'll tell Cecilia. Probably had a run-in with some ruffians or something. He sounds tired. Weird for him to be tired. I didn't expected him to be excited rather, but guess it finally got to him.
Maybe, but he didn't seem to need any medical help, she says. She asks. In Arabic, and looking at you.
No, don't think so.
Alright.
Just seemed grumpy.
Good.
Wonderful. You watch as the old woman goes back to the leather-bound book that she has, cracks it open once more.
Right then. Just a few more words, but after that I'm really done for today because it's starting to drag out. Just
Yeah, sure.
you straight on.
Eventually, those few words pass. Is there anything the two of you would like to get done with what you have left of the day?
Yes. Also, by the way, this woman, she's probably noticing that we're communicating and learning a language at the same time. This is probably weird to her as well.
I am by fault
She
trying
hasn't
to use
seemed
Latin.
to mention it at all. In fact,
There's
she's
more to
just
this woman.
she responds to you when you speak in Nubian, and she thinks that something might be wrong or you might need something from her, but other than that, she doesn't seem too concerned.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let's keep
Send
it.
her to my room before we leave. I'll handle her.
A midnight
No.
snack.
No.
So yeah, what
Anyways,
would you
yeah.
like to get done?
Did Cecilia have any other plans?
No, she doesn't. She will just take it easy and maybe pray some little to trying to remember stuff.
Okay. Let's see here. In that case, I would like you. For this, go ahead and you're going to charisma theology.
All right. Let's see. I will say.
How good you pray?
on that. How good am I at pray? Oh.
Oh wow.
Cecilia's a natural at praying.
Cecilia, you go to your room, in quiet and privacy. You take out your beads, you get down on your knees, you begin to pray, and you go through the entire set of prayers for a rosary. As you do, a name comes to you. Taliano.
Taliano.
Father Taliano. Not your daddy, but
No.
a priest.
Yeah, I got that.
Of course, you know, that's the first word that comes to my mind when you say something like that.
Taliano. Alright. I tried to picture if I can get a picture of him, like how he looks like.
Younger than most priests that you've met. In his mid-20s. Good hair. Great butt.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the first thing you noticed about a young priest, isn't it?
Oh.
Average build. Had you remember there being rumor that he sort of fell into religion? He didn't openly go into it. He kind of was forced to take his vows due to his rabble rousing and carousing earlier in his life. But you vaguely remember that you did a lot of your prayers with him.
Do I have any inclination that it was more than just prayers?
Not sexual.
Alright. That is very Christian to hear.
This is not the Tudor dynasty. This is before.
Alright. Yeah, that's what I do.
Very well. And is Ajala gonna do anything before night finally falls?
I am thinking of first going to check in on the horses.
Okay.
Specifically my own horse. Well, the rest, the other horses as well, but my own horse particularly. And after that I was thinking of actually... I don't know if there is anything like a... I don't think there's like a public area where people train with swords or whatever, or weaponry. I don't think that exists in this time period.
It does, but it's very dependent on where you are. And also your status.
Yeah. In that case, he's probably going to stay near the inn and see if there's like a back alley behind the inn where it's not particularly obvious that he's doing anything, and he'll probably will do some training.
Fantastic. And are you going to train with your blade mainly, or are you going to train your spear or your hand-to-hand?
What I am thinking is more like basically his fitness, is in I'm aiming at strength.
Okay.
Okay.
In that case...
So lifting barrels or whatever. That's randomness.
in that case, go ahead and make me a strength athletics roll.
Wrong tab. Strength. Difficulty of 7, I believe.
Difficulty is going to be 7, yes.
Daytime.
Okay, 1 success. So, you go into a back alley near the inn, and you attempt to turn the loose items of this back alley into a makeshift gym. While you're able to find, a sort of pieces of a destroyed furnace that's been sort of discarded back here. You're able to find a vase or a vase, depending on how you want to say it. And you're able to find a few ins and odds here and there. It's not much to work with. So you do go through the motion, but you end up mainly, you don't do weight training. You do more just dealing with your own body weight. Struggling against that is what you end up working with.
Basically filling pockets with rocks as much as
Essentially,
possible.
it's filling pockets with rocks. It's getting as many push-ups as you can, and it's trying to set up and fail immediately at trying to create a pull-up bar in the middle of an alleyway between the two buildings that sit close to each other.
There's no large beam lying around that I
No.
can hoist onto my shoulders. No. Bad.
This is clearly not the area that you want to be training in, and it's apparent that it's not set up to become sort of a free range gym. But you make the attempt, and you get a little progress done. Not much, but enough so that you feel confident that you're roughly where you were before you passed out and were thrown into a box.
Yeah, laying in a box for potentially 30 years. Let's hope it was shorter. Yeah, makes you feel like you might want to regain something.
We don't know about atrophy at this time, but dear God, can you
don't
feel it?
know. Yeah, the idea is somewhere and subconsciously in there. So that's what he felt this evening.
Eventually, as Ajala, unfortunately for him, not sweating at all, makes his way back into the inn. Night falls. The moon rises. And a part of each of you, even Serafino, who lies in bed, cradling his injuries, which still burn to this very moment, waits with full anticipation for the man in the black tabard to walk back through the door. Once again, you first hear the scratching of paws on wood. And then eventually, the two of them step inside, give a light bow, and he motions for you to join him upstairs.
Yeah. Cecilia will join him upstairs.
And that is where I'm going to ask, how long do you think you guys can go tonight? How much longer do you think you can go?
I have an
I'm
open
fine.
night.
You
So
have an
4
open night?
hours more I could.
Oh, I would say 1 hour and a half more.
Okay. What about you?
I'm willing to put my bet on that as well for the time being. As in, I can handle it. I think.
Okay. So about an hour, hour and a half more.
Maybe
that
a small
case-
break then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case,
Yes.
we're going to go ahead and take a small break, and we will be right back. We thank you so much for being here, and we will see you soon. As the dog barks.
As the dog barks.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Children of the Cup. All right. So, as you watch this hospitaler, or hospitaler, whichever way you would like to say it.
Would you like
Point
to pronounce
upstairs.
that again?
Hospitaler or hospitaler. Point to the direction of upstairs. He gives you all a slight nod.
Oh, but I was in bed.
All is in Cecilia and Ajala,
Oh, okay, okay.
as they are the only two downstairs at the moment.
Stand up and go up the stairs.
Yeah, definitely.
And you go back into Cecilia's room, or you go into Serafino and Ajala's room, seeing as Ajala is currently in there.
I am going into our room because he's in there and I think he wants to be part of this.
Okay. So you head into your room, and he kind of looks around as he steps inside, and you watch as Canis comes in as well, and sits down in a roughly similar position to where she was in the other room. Do you mind if I... And he points towards the stool in the room.
I'll offer this chair the moment that he enters, basically.
He closes the door behind him. He sits down in the chair. So, have each of you come to a decision?
Yes. I believe all of us did.
Fantastic. Excuse me. I hear that there was a bit of a interesting commotion today. He
Oh,
looks
indeed.
towards- he looks towards Serafino as he says that.
What did you hear?
Oh, that a man walked within a church, and then suddenly he smoked as he took part in communion.
Never heard of tobacco.
Yeah, that was me. I was trying to read some books, and the priest wouldn't let me. So I tried to take communion to get him to let me read the books. And it was even worse.
I see.
You actually went back to the church.
I did.
Well, you will
Of all
have plenty of
places.
time to discuss what you did and didn't do. I am simply here to see if I am sticking around or if I am continuing my path.
Well, we have, I think, everyone has the same decision that we will follow you and learn
You're
what you have to
sticking
teach.
around.
Very well. Welcome, Children of the Cup. Now, if you will, 6 hours' time, prepare to ride out. Canis, your job is done. And you watch as Canis goes over to the door and opens it with, like, that dog pawing at the handle a few times before eventually it swings open. She can't close it behind her, so instead he has to. And Canis leaves.
Where is Canis going?
She has completed her contract. She found you. She waited until the answer was sought. Now that she has the answer, she returns to her pack. You will see her again. This I am sure of.
Her pack. Is Cadence a werewolf?
No. Canis is definitely a canite. Although none have seen her mortal coil in quite some time.
Okay.
So is there a whole group of those like her running around this dog somewhere?
Her and those who choose to follow her, yes.
So what do we do now?
Now I go pack. You all get yourselves ready. We have a long ride ahead of us. It's best that we travel in the morning, rest during the midday, and then begin our studies at night, till eventually we reach the outskirts of Jerusalem where my manor is. From there I will begin your training, and once you are ready, you will be ready to enter Jerusalem finally, where you will enter a web of curiosities and Canaanite politics.
Interesting. Okay.
He stands. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And he begins to
Thank
walk
you.
out. Slowly the door closes behind him, and once again you hear the sound of his chainmail clanking lightly as he makes his way down the hall and eventually down the stairs.
Now the thing that
thought-
I'm wondering. Oh, sorry. Ed?
I thought there would be more than he just say, let's pack. Like it would be some revelation of secrets.
I can imagine that will not happen here, as he said. He's got a manor apparently outside of Jerusalem. I think that's a safer place to talk about things like this rather than broad daylight surrounded by people or in the middle of a church and I'll look at Serafina.
He said politics. Why would Canaanites need to handle politics?
Maybe there's
Well-
a whole other political system under creatures like us that we don't know about.
We have our kings, dukes, whatever, perhaps indeed they do as well, I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't make sense that there would be a whole underground of other systems. Why wouldn't they just follow the mortal kings?
I don't know. What
Well,
I'm
one of-
wondering though is how are we gonna wake up in 6 hours and not be late?
how the way the last mortals dealt with us, or should I say the way we dealt with them, would you think it was normal for a duke or a king of our kind to submit to such a weak creature?
I was more well, I don't know what I thought. I somehow had this view that Canaanites are kind of like monsters living in caves somewhere.
Maybe.
Well,
But if they do
Or,
politics,
yeah,
I guess
Should
no.
I say living like dogs?
That somehow makes more sense than that there will be politics in Jerusalem.
I think time will tell us.
I guess so.
there's a web of this in Jerusalem. We are what we are now. I'm not gonna think too much on it, but never mind, as in my mind's. But yeah, we're here in this inn. We're here as people, even though we're not entirely the same anymore as people. Stands to reason that others are also, well, being among people.
Yeah, but they said that they couldn't be in sunlight. Wouldn't it be hard to be around people if you're only seen at night?
I'd imagine. On the other hand, if we are seen too much in daylight, well, they can't see us in daylight. Because they can't come out during the day. Guess there's no problem there.
Yeah.
How wrong I am.
Well, I will go and prepare the horses then, see if there is anyone there, and let them know we're riding in
right.
6 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Definitely need to pack.
Not much to pack, except the things that we've gotten.
Yeah, but
No,
I will walk out anyway. And she starts moving to the door.
We still have the chest if we need to put something in there.
Oh, we don't have anything more, she says when she opens the door. I will just make sure that the horses are ready at time.
Okay. So you pack what little you have to pack. and you make yourselves ready for the journey. Is there anything special that you guys would like to get done, aside from, of course, checking on the horses and making sure they're all right and ready for the journey?
I'm really curious how tired we currently feel, as in do we feel
You
a
don't feel
need
tired.
to sleep?
No. Well, one of you does, but
Yeah. Somebody got badly burnt by holy stuff.
holy
Can I make my blood pool just go to 0 and frenzy about anything and just heal one
that
more?
would be a poor idea. If your blood pool reaches 0, you go into torpor.
Okay. I shall wait then.
While we're waiting for those 6, if I don't feel sleepy at all, and if I don't feel the need to sleep, I'm gonna stay awake.
Okay.
And I'm probably gonna repeat what some of the others have tried as well, and I'm actually gonna bind that ribbon around my hand and take the coin in the other hand and just sit and wonder what it could mean. I'm gonna try and recall the dream from last night, seeing basically the outline of that banner and not being able to discern the colors on it. Perhaps hear the shouting and noise on the battlefield, see if I can recall anything at all whatsoever.
Okay. What I need from you is, in this case, stamina enigmas, to see how long you're able to concentrate on these objects, and if you're able to do it long enough, perhaps something will come to you.
Difficulty of 6, I'm guessing?
Difficulty of 6. It is now nighttime. You no longer have the physical difficulties.
Successes.
3 successes. Wow. Okay.
My stamina's quite alright, my enigma is 0.
You sit there for a while. A good hour passes as you hold the items and wonder about what they could possibly mean. And over, as you're wondering about these items, the images of the dream that you had the night previous play through your head over and over again as you try and make out more and more details of what you saw. Eventually, you do remember something. There is, once again, you standing on the battlefield, or what will soon become one. The various rolling hills around you, the men at your side, and also the men across from you, silhouetted on the horizon with a waving banner that you cannot make out. Until eventually, you watch as the sun hits just right, and you can see the banner. It is the banner of the Fatimid Caliph.
If I'm writing that correctly. Is it the Caliph of Egypt?
Essentially, yes.
Yep. Alright. I fought against Egypt at some point.
As you stand there and watch the banner wave, you can feel the warm air brushing across your skin. And once again, you hear that horn to your left. Without thought, you begin to march forward, and so do the men around you. And that's the memory for a while, marching closer, closer, closer. Till eventually you can begin to actually make out the figures of the men in front of you. Looking at what you have been wearing, and looking at what the enemy before you wears, your light skirmish troops, they're more than likely what you're currently facing. Dismounted cataphracts. You can feel the fear building within you as you step closer and closer, and the visuals of them become more and more clear. You're in textile armor, they're in composite. And it's strong composite at that. You've got a spear, you've got an axe at your belt, you've got a small shield. You don't stand a chance. But, like the good soldier you are, you keep marching. Until eventually you're within range. You don't actually have any control, really, of what your body is doing in the moment, because it's just a memory. So you watch as you lift your spear, position it, and you throw them like javelins at the first few ranks of these dismounted cataphracts. You're handed 3 spears in total from the men behind you. And once you are done throwing them, you charge. I'd like you to roll me a dexterity melee.
And that happening in difficulty of 6 or
Difficulty of 6.
dexterity melee?
7 successes.
Oh my god.
You have a
That is
specialty.
ridiculous. And I have a specialty
In
in
axes.
spears, so that makes for 8.
You have a specialty in axes, don't you? Let me double check.
Spears.
Spears. Oh, even better. Fantastic. So this is what happens. You charge forward. You pull your axe from your belt. And you clash with the first rank of these dismounted cataphracts. And you hit a lot harder than you expected. You come to realize, that's right, these men were tired. They had been marching for almost a week to reach you. The river's behind you. You have the water supply, they don't. And you hit straight into their ranks. You cut one after another down until your arms are tired, and finally you embed your axe into an officer's skull. You pick up his spear, and you continue to fight for a few minutes longer, before finally, with many of your brothers dying around you, you hear the horn, and you begin to retreat. I'd like you to roll me stamina, athletics.
Difficulty of 6 again.
Difficulty of 6 again.
6.
Do
Wow.
you have any specialities in stamina or athletics?
I'm quickly gonna check. I believe I do have in stamina. Yes, I do. I'm tough as nails.
Fantastic. You begin running back, getting back to your own lines. You can see your own heavy infantry taking place, getting ready. You can also see your archers stepping forward and preparing their shots as you run back to the lines. There's a distance to cover, though. You were pelted a few times by the occasional stone from a sling being fired at you from the Fatimid lines. And your heart races as you try and get back to your lines, until your heart finally skips a beat when you hear the sound of cavalry's hooves making its way towards you. You look over your left shoulder as you're running back. And this time you see mounted cataphracts, their heavy armor gleaming in the sunlight as they come straight for your battle line. They crash into the men around you, and you're almost trampled by a horse, but you manage to escape, lightly injured. You make it back to your lines when the cavalry finally pulls away. There's a bit of cheering and jeering as well as you make it back. And you see the face of a man that you remember as father, your true father. He is dressed in noble armors, sitting atop a horse, next to a king. A king whose name you do not remember. He gives you a wide smile as you return to your battle lines, and even gives you a nod of respect. And the memory fades.
Wow. That was a lot, sorry.
That was a lot, and you rolled really
That was
well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably only realize that I was gone in thought so far by the time that we're about to leave, I think,
Yeah.
almost.
Meanwhile, while Ajala is lost within the thoughts of his previous life, Cecilia, you've checked on the horses, you've made sure they're saddled, and you do a generally good job of saddling them with the help of course, the stable boy. Past that, what would you like to do with the time that you've been allotted?
I would mostly spend them thinking, like resting and so on.
Okay.
Reflecting on the same things, basically,
Fantastic.
that I've done the previous hours.
All right. In that case, yeah, you go ahead and you attempt to reflect over the next few hours. Meanwhile, Serafino, you lie in bed in pain, not having really a good night at all.
I need to rest. I'm gonna try and get some sleep.
Okay, you try and get some sleep. Go ahead and make me, I believe you have a conviction is your thing, correctly? Is it conviction or conscious?
Let me see.
Yep, your virtue is conviction. So make me
Conviction,
a
too.
straight conviction roll.
Straight conviction roll. Coming right up. Difficulty?
Difficulty is 6.
Oh, it's not here. So it should be on ability or discipline. Not ability. Why can't I find conviction? Should be an attribute.
Go up to the top of your dice roller page, and it'll say dice pools, send rolls to public, and then
okay.
conviction.
Next to willpower. Okay, I got
Yeah.
you.
Wow, 2 successes. Very nice indeed. You do manage to get yourself some rest, despite the pain. And eventually, the 6 hours comes. You all meet downstairs. You get on your horses, and you are led by the man into the desert night, taking the road of the pilgrim. Let's see. As you ride, eventually you watch as the sun rises. And just as it's beginning to become midday, finally, he stops, he sets up camp, sits you all down, and he says, I am sure that you have many questions. We still have a while to ride before we reach our manor, but now that we are away from the city and the prying ears of others, please, go ahead.
Can you live off the blood of animals only?
There are those who are able to do it. Canis is actually able to do it to some extent. I am not familiar with the process myself. However, from what I know, it has something to do with the potency of one's blood determines if you're able to feed from animals. At least that's what I've been told.
As in, if it's not too potent, you can.
No, as in if your blood is too potent, you cannot. How much power you have in your blood can determine,
Okay.
at least from what I've heard. Like I said, I've never actually tried myself.
So, just in mechanical terms, quick question. That means generation.
In mechanical terms, yes, that does mean generation.
Basically, what I'm curious.
You said that I was of a clan called Simish. What's that?
Oh, they are a... Oof, how to explain this without blowing open your head? They are a clan of flesh crafters, monstrosities of battle, politicians of the mountains. Something along those lines is the easiest way I could explain this without us actually being properly at my manor with books in front of us at our lectures that we will be having.
She seems confused, but she lets someone else ask a question before she bombards more.
So, clans like families?
Yes, much like families, sort of... You could put it in a way like a family tree, almost. Do you know of the Habsburgs? Right. Doesn't know about the Habsburgs. Okay, how do we make this easier? This is why I should keep this thing in simple terms. They all come from the same progenitor of the family tree line, right? But along the line, you say, for instance, marry a girl who was from one tree line. She goes under the new name that she takes from your family, correct? Assuming it works like that from where you're from. You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted?
You were for a moment.
Okay, sorry. I do think it works that way.
Something like that. Only the difference being, should you be married to the name of a clan, as it were, it represents you having different abilities, specialities.
So,
But you all come from Cain, according to how clans work. So, same daddy, technically. Same granddaddy, really.
to put it how the priest would probably explain this, we all come from Adam and Eve, though the kings have a different
There you
bloodline.
go.
And
This is why I need my butler.
odd question perhaps, but an all quick glance around. But since we are not from Cain, how come we are still?
How
his
come you still
different
fall
bloodline?
under the clans? That is one of the very many mysteries of the cup. We don't fully understand the process at this point. We don't have the cup. So, I'm afraid I
Where is
can't
it?
tell you. The cup resides with all of our, I guess you could say, father. Or, as kindred, not kindred, Cainites. Sorry, I can't say kindred at this point because they're not called kindred at this point.
Not that yet.
As Cainites would like to put it, he would be considered our sire.
Guessing.
Your vampire daddy.
But
Your
where is the
maker.
cup? Where is the cup now?
From
If you
what
don't have it
I know, the cup is with him.
from with him. Okay. What is his name?
No one knows. We only remember snippets of seeing him out of the corner of our eyes, of seeing him when we took upon the cup. But no one knows his name.
Where is
Please.
Cain then?
Cain is either long dead, depending on if you believe his children or not, or still roams.
Interesting.
How often do we need to feed to survive?
Let me put it this way. Never let your hunger grow too great. Ever. You will do horrible, monstrous things the hungrier you are. So, treat it like food. You eat every night, yes?
Yes.
Well, if we treat this in a manner like food, instead of going hungry and starving yourself, eat once a night just a small portion. That way, you don't have to deal with the consequences of being the starving, voracious child on the street corner begging for money and eventually stabbing the nobleman who passes you by and spits on you.
In our case, murder out an entire camp of traders.
In your case, murder an entire camp of traitors.
That means that we can feed without killing.
Absolutely. And you can even hide the fact that you've fed.
How?
Well, simply, you lick the wound. After you've drunk from the person, place your tongue across the wound, and it will go away. The person, of course, will still have the usual issues with having lost blood, but the evidence that you were there physically is gone. Mentally is an entirely different thing.
Yeah, how would we... I mean, wouldn't he just run and tell others about what happened?
Not if you do this correctly. There are many methods to feeding. Some are the ruffian in the street. You wait until a lovely couple passes by in the middle of the night. You knock them unconscious and you drink from them horribly, satiating your hunger. Another method? Some like to feign sex. The carnal pleasures of the body hide very well that you feed from humans. They simply can mistake the acts that you take as a way of producing pleasure for them, because, in fact, biting into a mortal does cause them pleasure. A state of... I don't know if the term ecstasy existed back then, but he says ecstasy just in case.
Euphoria.
Or some
Euphoria,
similar word.
there you go. Another method that you could go with: break into a home while the people are sleeping. Be quiet about the break-in. Feed. Disappear the evidence of the wound. Get out. They never knew you were there. They were sleeping. They're tired the next morning when they wake up. Their muscles are a little achy, but for some reason they also felt like they had a fantastic sleep at the same time.
Wouldn't they wake up if you bite them?
No, because of the euphoria.
Not necessarily. Have you ever, when you were normal, gone to sleep and heard a noise? You knew the noise was perhaps someone or something familiar, and you attempted to respond to it in some way, and you felt that twitching sensation as you attempted to get up, but you couldn't move. Couldn't open your eyes. You just struggled for a while, and then eventually you were forced to relax and go back to sleep.
Maybe.
It's a little like
hasn't.
that.
I have, but Jala hasn't. Not that he knows, at least.
Maybe, yeah.
Another method. You can go about the process of ghouling someone. That is a very complicated method that I will explain later. Once we have the books in front of us, we are at the lecture hall, and we are able to properly sit down and explain all that to you. You could feed from people who you have manipulated through your blood. To put it simply. People who trust you, love you, would die for you. Very willingly at
Manipulated
that.
through our blood, as in...
Like I said, it's a little complicated. And I'd rather save the entire lecture for the beauty of manipulation via blood, via ghouling, or blood bonds, for when we are in a proper lecture hall and I can show you references.
I'm already guessing what this is, so...
Can you drink blood from other canites?
Indeed you can. In a way, you too will become like these ghouls, but different.
Okay. Does Canite have their own language?
Not to my knowledge. However, there are many languages, so I don't think there's necessarily a need.
Can we understand Canites like we understand each other?
No.
So we need to hide that we understand each other even if we don't know the language.
That means that is something that has to do with the Holy Grail, well, with the cup. At the very least.
I tried to create a language very shortly and it didn't, and we could not understand what they just created. Which language does work?
When it comes to creating languages and attempting to speak them amongst one another, it's a bit more difficult than writing something down on parchment or stone and putting an immediate translation next to it. You'd have to come up with an entire alphabet, nouns, verbs, adjectives, everything. You'd have to create and complete the entire false language. And then, once you fully understood the language, you'd be able to communicate it to others while speaking nonsense.
Alright. But some languages are more intricate than others. How do I know if the
Very
language
true.
is enough?
As the creator of that language, the truth of the matter is you have power over it in how long it takes to complete.
So if I feel like it is completed, no matter how far I have gotten, then it is completed?
Something like that.
But I can't fool myself.
Can't fool yourself. You must understand your own created language to then be able to speak it to, say, Serafino or Achala, and it passes actual dialogue to them.
I see. Do we
Interesting.
have any weaknesses?
I suggest you don't go to any priests in the future and harass them. You can be friendly with them, but don't anger them. I also suggest you avoid decapitation at all costs. Avoid being stabbed in the heart with wood.
Yeah, stabbed in the heart doesn't sound good.
No, it never
The
is.
accusation doesn't sound great either.
No, it never is. I also suggest you don't walk through a fire. While it won't
Bad idea to start with.
bother us as children of the cup, it will still hurt immensely.
Okay.
Wait, did he just suggest that we are more resistant to fire than normal vampires?
You've kind of actually
But
been
as a
exposed to
player,
that
I'm
already.
asking
Yeah,
that.
as a player, you've kind of been exposed to that already because you haven't flinched at the torches yet.
Yeah.
You haven't flinched at
Right.
torches, you haven't flinched at hearth.
When you say it doesn't bother us particularly, what do you mean?
Well, normal Canaanites realize, well, maybe not themselves, but their beasts. Some might argue it's a soul, some might argue it's a demon, some might argue it's just instinct. Whatever you would like to call it, we know it as the beast. Does not agree with fire, because the beast knows fire bad. Fire real bad. So, normally, a Canaanite will be able to stand fires to an extent. They aren't exactly going to go out to a bonfire and stand next to it. They can see it, but they will not want to approach it very closely. Fire holds the same penalties in some ways as a Canaanite stepping into the sun.
So, in a sense, we are both blessed and cursed at the same time.
More
And
than you
true
could imagine.
Canaanites. True Canaanites are cursed by the curse of Cain, while we are as well, but through
You are cursed with the
Holy
curse of the
Grail?
cup via Cain. If that makes any sense.
Like the cup sort of lifts a part of the curse and turns it slightly more blessing in comparison.
Something like that. Yes.
Not.
We lied in the coffin for 30 years. Why didn't
We're
we
just
need any
missing.
blood then?
That doesn't sound too odd. If you lied in the coffin for 30 years without waking, till the day that you did, more than likely the issue was that you were in torpor.
That mean?
That means that without your will, you were knocked unconscious and could not move. Period. Until eventually, your body's recovered. This is why you shouldn't get staked. If you
You're
are
temporarily dead?
something like that, yes. Say, for instance, I stab you with a spear in your heart. While the metal touching your heart would be no issue to you, aside from the fact that it would hurt, the moment that the wood of the spear touched your heart, you would drop to the ground dead. But not finally dead. Simply immobilized and unconscious. You'd never be able to do anything about it unless you had certain abilities. Say, for instance, as a Misi, of certain power. Because as long as that wood stayed within your heart, you would not be able to move. If your eyes are open during the process, it's even worse because then you are fully conscious of what's going on around you, yet you cannot move.
It sounds scary.
This can also happen should you get too hungry. or if you sustain enough damage. For instance, if I were to beat you with the pommel of my sword long and hard enough, you would once again slip into torpor. Temporarily, of course. It would take quite a bit for me to cause this, but it could happen.
Does the Knights have any enemies except?
Several.
Yeah.
Uh,
In particular, we should be
try allies.
Allies. They lie to themselves and say that they are allies of each other at times. But truly, allies? Simply the mortals they make into their ghouls.
Okay.
And perhaps, if they're lucky, their sire. And their childer.
You mentioned politics before. What is Knight politics?
What is mortal politics? It's similar but different. There are systems of government within the Knight society that exist.
Like
There are
in
laws.
the same.
There are not kings, but princes. There are sheriffs. There are scourges. There are a number of other fun things. In general, it works a little bit like human politics. There are just different consequences. Also different goals.
But are the Knights living in the cities? With the
Absolutely.
humans?
Knights live in the cities. Knights live in the mountains. Knights live under the very stand you walk on.
She looks down on the sand.
Maybe not the very sand you walk on, but
Sleeping.
How don't we notice them? If they can't be in the sun, shouldn't you notice that there's some people that are only visible during night?
you would think that. You would think it would be blindingly obvious that Pastor Johnson only does his sermons at night. That Vanessa only comes out and does her prostitution at night. Whoever it may be, does their activities at night. But people have ways. There's always an explanation. Not to mention they have people who do things for them during the day. You're a business owner and a Knight. How can you run your business at day? You have someone for the daytime. Why is it that you only come out at night? Well, I work all night. So I am tired during the day. Or simply, they don't bother with interacting with mortals.
So, these rules means that our faces get known, we should take real good care not to come out during the day or be seen during the day by any of those.
Good
It
observation.
could mean problem.
Always remember, if you are ever to meet a ghoul, that ghoul will never be your friend, never be your ally. Never be able to be trusted with any information that you do not want their master to know.
Can someone be ghoul at more than one Knight at a time?
Yes and no. The making of ghoul has loopholes. For instance, a Cainite who has ghouled a mortal. That mortal can, should the right circumstances be met, be ghouled by another Cainite and become their subject. Possibly even, should it be done right, continuing to act as the ghoul of the first Cainite. Hard to pull off, but possible.
So you should, if you create a ghoul, you shouldn't even trust that one too much, as someone else might have taken control of it.
If you create a ghoul, you should always be sure that it's getting its blood sourced directly from you. Period. If there ever is doubt in your mind that your ghoul could have been corrupted by another Cainite, for the moment, until you have the ability to ensure that you are the one who holds the keys to the ghoul, do not trust.
Is there something else Cainites can't do that we can?
It's more of a mixed bag, but you are... Seraphino's not. Never mind. Mixed bag. So that's a no.
I see.
Not in my studies.
Yeah, Seraphino couldn't eat the food, or well, he could
There
eat and
are
drink, but it didn't
many
taste well.
Cainites who cannot eat and drink. Serafino, does this, when you eat, does it make you nauseous, perhaps give you the feeling that you need to immediately
Makes
vomit?
me wanna vomit, and everything tastes bland or awful.
A common trait in Cainites.
Can't
There
even
are
drink.
some, though, who are able to pass as human and eat, drink, have warm skin. That's something that they can't do that you can, generally speaking. Most times, a Cainite's skin will be cold, as they are technically dead. Your skin will always be warm. You are halfway in between. Most Cainites can't truly enjoy the beauty of emotions. They get the faint resonance of emotions, but not the full effect. You can. Most Cainites can't cry. There's a possibility you can, but I'm not sure on that one. Haven't had a reason to cry.
There came blood, Cecilia says.
Then you, or I should say we, would probably fall under the most Cainites do that, and so do we. Although, what has been confirmed is most Cainites can't actually have children. We can.
What
What?
happens to the child then?
It dies. Usually it's born still.
Okay.
There is one incident where a child did live. But that was a very rare and painful exercise that we can talk about another time.
So, if I become pregnant then I must hide it, because no other Cainite could.
If you were to be pregnant without the applied method, you would abort the child before you knew.
Alright.
Or it would come to term and it would be born stillborn, which would be horrifying for you, but that's how things are.
Yeah.
I think that's enough questions for tonight. Please, rest.
Cecilia's a lot to think about, so she will rest.
Yeah, rest.
By the window.
Yeah,
There is no window
in-
in a tent in the desert. Oh no!
Change window.
Oh, there we go. Got it. I was about to say.
We've probably traveled like most of the late evening, well, early morning, I'm guessing, and
So you traveled
rest
the
of the
remainder of the
noon?
night and then all morning. And when it
but this
hit,
is actually noon.
right, it's just after, as this conversation has been going on, time has been passing. So it's probably like an hour before dark at this point.
So, okay.
Well, try to rest some, get some sleep.
Before we continue on, good idea. Yes. Yeah, let's
Alright.
turn in for the night.
You all turn in. The next morning you rise and you ride out once more. And as you go through the winding hills along the road of the pilgrims, eventually you watch as you crest over a hill and civilization comes before you, as the city of Jerusalem shines like a bright and beautiful beacon in the now afternoon sun. And that is where we will end our episode.
Amazing.
So, thank you all so much for coming out. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And I have been your DM, GM, storyteller, Forgotten Dreams. And I have been joined by the wonderful Azzy,
Hello.
Dorian,
I
and Jay.
Hello.
Now, if you've missed any episodes so far and you're really interested in what the hell's going on, you can go over to the YouTube and you can check out the full archive of this series in numbered order, in a playlist even. But for the rest of you, you know that we stream always on Trovo, Twitch, and YouTube for your enjoying pleasure. And we will see you guys next time, next week, same time. Bye!
Bye.
Hi everyone. See ya.
Bye.